happening? Oh, yes. Am I live? Okay. Welcome. Hello. This has been the most tech challenged morning. Every time I've clicked go start broadcast, I've gotten booted off. So we're here now. Thank you for your patience. Welcome to Adventures in Visibility. Today we're going to be exploring all things blogging, which is something that's very, very powerful. Yes, it's powerful, and it's also very important to me. I'm Denise Wakeman, your host and guide to better visibility on the web, and I am so pleased that you're here with me. And just a quick note, if you'd like to get advance notice of my guests coming up on Adventures in Visibility, you can subscribe at adventuresinvisibility.com. And if it's easier for you to listen, after the fact, Adventures in Visibility is also podcast now, available on SoundCloud, Stitcher, and iTunes. So you can go subscribe to that at adventuresinvisibilitypodcast.com. Okay, so today I have a friend and colleague who is an amazing blogger. My guest today is Rebekah Radice, and I'm now realizing that I may not have pronounced that right. Rebekah Radice.
No, you did.
Radice.
You did. You said it correct. Not very many people can write.
Well, it's interesting because, we generally have time in the green room before starting, but we both had trouble getting everything to align this morning, and I was going to make sure I asked so I would say it right, so I just had to take a guess there. Anyway, without much blah blah, I'm just going to give you a quick introduction to Rebekah, and then we're going to dive into our conversation because I've got a lot of questions for Rebekah. So, Rebekah Radice is the founder of Rebekah Radice LLC and a founding partner of Imagine Wow, a digital marketing agency committed to helping business professionals align strategy and intention for breakthrough social media results. Rebekah is also the author of How to Use Social Media to Virtually Crush the Competition. And she was recently named as an Inman Top 100 Most Influential Leader for the second year in a row. And that's a big deal. She's also considered one of the top social media professionals to follow. So if you haven't circled Rebekah yet, please do so because you will be glad you did. She posts amazing content. So Rebekah, welcome. Thank you for joining me today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much. I think I've said this to you on several occasions, but I have been your fan for a really long time. So it's a real treat for me to be here.
Well, thank you. We're talking about blogging today, business blogging, and you are among a few people that I am just blown away by in your capacity to consistently, and that's a really key word here, consistently and constantly produce blog posts, publish blog posts that are of very high value. They are detailed, they're educational, and you get consistently really tons of social shares. And, I was just going through some of your blog posts this morning, and it's like, 1,000 people, 3,000 people. It's like, it's amazing. It's amazing. So we're going to talk about that today, how you do that. And the first question I really want to find out, though, is when did you start blogging?
I started my first blog back in 2004, so a little while ago. I guess I'm going on my 10-year anniversary here. And at that point, it was, really just for fun. Just wanting to get a feel. I had always been a writer, really enjoyed writing. I was a journaler. So for me, it was a fun way to be able to take all of those thoughts in my head, everything I was putting down in my notebook, and kind of share it with the world. And very quickly, I saw, wow, here's an opportunity as a marketer. To really be able to get your message out, to be able to share with a lot of people that are looking for similar content, talking about the same thing. So it was really, like I said, it was more me personally stepping into it initially, but as you know, as a marketer, that marketing light bulb is always going off. And it was exciting to see that there was so much, as you know, I mean, my goodness, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. There was just so much opportunity at that point to connect with people in a way that certainly we still have the opportunity today. There's just a lot more to compete with at this point.
Absolutely. You know, I didn't realize that we had followed the same trajectory because I just celebrated my 10-year blogiversary.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah,
okay.
a couple weeks ago. It was like September 28th, 2004 that I published my first blog post.
That's
and I have the same exact reaction. It was just like, I mean, and it was so visceral too. It was just like, this is a game changer. This is
absolutely
everything. And it did. It did. So what was your first blog about?
My first blog post was about things that were changing within my life. So it was kind of a challenge to myself. I was towards the end of the year, and I was talking about everything that had led up to the end of that year. And I'm trying to think of the exact title, but it was something about failing forward. And all of the things that I had stumbled on throughout the year and how I was going to push those into success into the new year.
Fantastic. I think my first blog post was, well, this is my first blog post. We'll see how it goes.
I think it was my first tweet. That's pretty funny.
So, you know, fast forward to 2013, 2014, when we started connecting on Google+, and I really became, you know, really super aware of what you were doing. And, you know, as I said, you're consistently delivering, you know, really high value in your blog posts. So, like, let's go for the really big question. What's your secret? You know, how do you take us through how you've developed your blogging habits, because I think that this is a place where a lot of people get stuck.
Yeah, well, it definitely is. It's that you mentioned the word initially, which is consistency. And for me, I was very clear on how much I could commit to on a weekly or monthly basis. So for me, it's once a week. If there's something like this where there's an interview situation or a hangout that I really want to highlight, there might be 2 in a week, but that's not my commitment. And so I think that's a big key, is to really know what your limitations are, what can you commit to, and then stick with it no matter what. I mean, there are plenty of times, and I know you can totally relate to this, where I'm going, oh man, I've got to get this blog post done because I'm going on vacation, or I'm going to be, you know, out of pocket, whatever the case might be. And you have to adjust your schedule. You have to just commit to making sure that that happens no matter what. Certainly life happens, and people are going to understand that. But one of the biggest problems I see is, you know, you visit somebody's blog and they haven't posted anything in 3 weeks, or worse yet, 3 months, or even, you know, 9 months. And as you can imagine, who's coming back to that, right? There's just nothing to draw you back. So for me, it was really understanding how often I was going to post. And then for me, figuring out what I was going to talk about has really been a journey, because it's everything I talk about. It's what I do on a daily basis. It's what I talk to people about. It's what I'm working through with people. So it's listening to, you know, my clients, and really understanding where are their challenges on a daily basis. What are they struggling with? And would that be helpful to somebody else? Would that be a benefit to another business owner or entrepreneur that is out there struggling to make social media work within their business, or blogging work within their business? And so I just take that and translate that into an article. And unfortunately, or fortunately, My thought process, I feel I can be a bit verbose sometimes, where I see the big picture. So most of my articles have turned into that, where I try to scale them back, but I've realized that's kind of become my thing, where I just, it's that brain dump of everything I've talked to a client about or everything we've just worked through. And I have had so many people, and I'm sure you've run up against this, that have their idea of what your blog should be, and they're, oh, Rebekah, you shouldn't give so much away, or you should break those into 2 or 3 posts, and you know what, you got to do what feels right to you and what works best for you, and it's worked for me.
Yeah.
I think people find value in that.
Well, I think that that's what probably readers have come to expect from you, too. I mean, they get a really detailed, big picture, but also steps. I mean, you're always sharing some really, really good tips and steps and action items. And I think that, clearly people appreciate that because so many people are sharing and commenting and et cetera, So, it's interesting, do you find that your advice about blogging has changed over the last decade?
Oh my goodness, yes, most definitely. And certainly that's a learning curve too, as I've grown as a blogger, as I've realized that maybe things that worked before don't work anymore, and my style has changed. I know just my writing has gotten considerably better just from that commitment to writing over and over and over every day. So yeah, definitely my advice, my direction, even just those how-tos like you were talking about, daily tactics, how to share your blog posts on a daily basis. Yeah, where things go away or, social network changes, so we've got to adjust. So yeah, it's always changing, keeping us on our toes.
So one of the things I'm wondering is, how long does it generally take you to write a blog post? I know there's not a set, like, oh, okay, I worked 2 hours on it or whatever, but typically, how long does it take for you to create, one of those really in-depth posts?
Well, and it does depend. It depends on if it's, for example, if one of my last posts was from a presentation I just did, and so that was pretty well mapped out. I had done all of the research prior to. I had really put together all the slides, so that's going to be a little bit shorter, but it's still a good couple hours for me to really map it all out, write it all out, get the flow, just get really clear on the direction of it. The larger articles where I'm doing a lot of research, I'm doing a lot of tips, those could take 3-4 hours, and I might break that up over time just because I edit ruthlessly, so I will go through it, just kind of lay it all down, and then come back. And there are some times where I will rework my opening 4 or 5 times, because that's just that powerful piece that really grabs people, and then really make sure that I've trimmed it down, kept it as succinct as possible. Don't try to get too wordy, because as I said, I have a tendency to do that. So I really try to edit myself, shorten myself down, and keep it as to the point as possible with as many tips, because I know that's what people are landing on our blogs for. They want to know, what do you do, how do you do it, and just give me, because I'm kind of that meat and potatoes gal myself, I just want to know, how do you do it?
Right.
So I really try to whittle it down, and so it depends. It depends on the length of the post, but all of my posts, for the most part, are about 1,200 words or above. So they do take me several hours.
Good. Well, here's a question from Jeff. How far ahead do you schedule and plan out your blog posts? That's a really good question. So are you just like kind of flying by the seat of your pants, or do you have an editorial calendar? What is it how do you come up with how do you plan out your posts?
I do have an editorial calendar, and I try to plan at least 3 months in advance. So I do a 3-month calendar at a time, and of course, there's always things that come up. For example, Twitter changes their cover, and you want to speak to that. How to use your cover, or how to best design that. So you've got to leave yourself room to adjust to what's happening right now within your industry. But yes, I've got an editorial calendar that looks at all of my speaking engagements, takes all of those into consideration. So I'm able to work those opportunities in to really talk about that, and I try to have that content at least 80% done, a couple of weeks prior to. So all I have to do is go back in and really tweak and edit, get that image done, whatever the case might be as far as those last minute things.
Excellent. Okay, so let's get to one of those questions that I think a lot of people are wondering about. There's a lot of frustration among bloggers that, they spend a lot of time on their blog posts and then nobody shares it, or only a few people share it. So what are you doing that's different? I mean, obviously your quality is fantastic, your content is fantastic, and that plays a big part, but is there anything, specific that you're doing to encourage shares of your content?
Well, and I think you and I are a great example of what the answer is to that, and it's really building relationships. I joined several blogging communities. In fact, I know that's where I first ran across you, was in SocialBuzzClub, and first saw all of your content, and I'm like, wow, look what this woman is doing. I mean, you are everywhere, and it was just so incredibly impressive. And I know we're both huge supporters of women out there doing their thing, and so I was just so excited to see, you're a pioneer. I hate to use that word; it makes us sound kind of old, but but you really are. You have been there since the early days of blogging and social media, which of course wasn't really social media at the time, but you've been doing it, and so you've really paved the way. And so, to me, it's build crucial, just really important relationships, and then learn from the people that are out there doing it. There is no reason to reinvent the wheel. So I just studied people. I just studied what other people were doing, and I tweaked it, and I tried to rework it, and it's figuring out what works best for you. And it's going beyond the four walls of your blog. You've got to step outside of that and have those conversations on Twitter, on Google+, on Facebook, and get people to care about your content. Because that has a lot to do with it too. Unfortunately, there's a ton of great content out there every day. My goodness, I stumble upon blogs and I go, wow, why does this only have 20 shares? This is fantastic. So I think it comes too from influential people really recognizing what you're doing, starting to share your content, and all of that I think comes back to just creating conversation, creating those relationships, and getting people to take notice.
Yeah, and the thing is that you just also made a point about you've got to step out beyond the walls of your blog, because in 2004, 2005 there was no place to share it really. You could share it with your list,
Exactly.
but now you've got to promote.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, and I was really fortunate when I first started blogging. I had a pretty substantial list, and so that's where a lot of my interactions came from initially. But you're right. You've got to use social media to really amplify and spread your message. And there's so many other opportunities. I mentioned, blog groups. There's just so many out there, from SocialBuzzClub to Triberr, that are creating these tribes of individuals, business professionals, like-minded people that are talking about the same thing you are, and you really need to get interactive, insert yourself into those conversations, and give them, again, a why as to why they should share your content.
Right. And as Ilene, our friend Ilene says she
Yes.
hearts she loves Social Buzz Club too, and that's been certainly a site that's been instrumental in helping get the word out. And I think you mentioned Triberr as well. So there's a lot of ways to get stuff out, your content out there, but you've got to work it.
You do. You really do. I'll tell you, just to kind of follow that thought, the whole promotion piece is almost bigger than the writing piece. And so if you're not committing several hours to promoting your blog post, to getting the word out there, then that could be a big reason why you're failing to get the shares you want to see.
So one of the things that you do beautifully is you include really fun images with your blog posts, and you've got a look to your images. And so can you talk a little bit about that and how that has impacted the sharing and the kind of the response you're getting to your blog? Has that changed things for you?
Oh my goodness, dramatically. Yeah, it really was. You talk about game changers, and the fact that we were able to use these big, beautiful images on Google+, on Pinterest, now, of course, on Twitter, Facebook, we've always been able to. But it's being able to brand your business, being able to create a graphic that is easily recognizable, that people can just immediately see. Oh wow, that's Denise's Adventures in Visibility. They just know. Every single time I see that great picture of you standing up, with your arms up, I just love that because it's so you. I feel your enthusiasm, I feel your warmth, I feel just your energy. And you want people to be able to connect with whatever it is, that essence of you and your business. So for me, it's really, it evolved. I had to find what worked for me, so I played around with it a lot, and finally found what feels like me. I've got, the image of the girl with the blonde hair, and she's just kind of fun and spunky to me, and that was how I wanted my blog to be. I didn't want it to be heavy and overwhelming and that burdensome feeling a lot of people feel when it comes to social media and blogging. I wanted it to represent more the, yeah, you can be a business and you can have a lot of fun with this, and you can succeed at it. So it might take a little bit of time, but the key is to really make it an extension of everything you've been doing offline. So what does your brand look like? What's your look and feel, your colors, your fonts? And just translate that over into your images and, gosh, use those in a way, like I said, to connect people to your company, to your product, whatever it might be, because there's so much content being shared. And if they can't just instantly recognize that it's you, you might get overlooked.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Now, that fun and funky blonde, avatar. Did you create that, or did you have someone create it? But because she's often in different poses and everything. So do you have a designer on board?
I wish I could say that I did, but I found a guy that created her. And he has created her in multiple different poses. So I think I purchased every single one he had, which might be 25, 30 different designs. So it's fun because I can kind of swap her out. And he also created another one with a girl. I don't know if you've seen her. She has more reddish brown hair. But she's kind of fun too, and I've used her in a couple of different things. But he has such a great eye. So no, you don't have to spend a ton of money, on something like that. You can find somebody that does just a really great job. I use Fiverr, surprisingly, for some stuff like that, where you can just find incredibly talented people that are doing stuff you can't do, and creating things that they can take your vision and just really bring it to life.
Yeah. Okay, so You say that you need to niche down your blog in order for your business to grow and, well, for your blog and your business to grow. So what do you mean by that?
Well, you know the saying, the riches are in the niches. We've probably all heard that now. But I think, you know, for most companies, most business owners, at least when you're first getting started, you think, if I just talk to everybody, everybody is going to want, you know, what I have to offer. And I know I made that mistake initially. I thought, I'm just going to be everything to everybody. And what ends up happening is you're speaking to nobody. You're just casting your net way too wide, and you haven't really gotten crystal clear on who your audience is. So I talk a lot about the power of speaking to just one individual, and really understanding who is that persona, who is that person that you're talking to, and what is it? What is it that they need every single day? And then how can you provide that on a daily basis? How can you give that to them day in and day out? It's something that is definitely a struggle for just about every business I work with out there. But I can tell you that there's enormous value in niching down. And it looks like you're back.
Yes.
I knew you were gone. I didn't know if I was gone. So I just kept talking.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I'm just having a rough time here today.
Yeah. Well, and the little known thing that a lot of people may not know is Denise and I live literally 10 minutes away from each other. So our technology issues could be related today. I don't know.
They could be. And I just want to say to y'all in the audience, I was going to pull up a couple more questions, but when I get booted off the connection, I lose all of that. And rather than taking time to go back and find your comments, we'll do that at the end when we get off. You know, I'm sure Rebekah will, you know, be happy to, you know, address your questions, and I will too. So I just want to thank you for your patience with this today. You never know what's going to happen here. That's why this is an adventure in visibility, or invisibility as it may be.
Yeah. That's pretty funny. New tagline.
So today I'm going invisible. Okay. So and you know, because of all this, is it okay with you if we just go a few minutes past the half hour?
Yeah,
we've got a little bit of a late start. So one of the things I know you were talking about niching down, and I think that you know, I know you just kept on going because you are a pro and you know how to do that. But one of the things that I'd like to ask you, because we really, you know, talked about this as being a, you know, way that people can find out how you're doing it, like because you're a pro at this. So what is it that you feel contributes to a blog failing, and how can that be turned around for people?
Well, I think we talked about a couple of them. I think it's a lack of focus. I think it's a lack of knowing exactly what your topic is, so knowing what you're passionate about, and then writing about that. Because if you're not excited about it, if it doesn't get you, you know, fired up and excited about writing about it, you're going to burn out pretty quickly. And there comes that lack of consistency, which is another big reason that blogs fail, where you just haven't put that editorial calendar in place, you haven't put a strategy in place, you don't have goals for your blog, so you don't have anything that you're working towards, whether it's increasing your reach, increasing your subscribers, selling your latest book or your product, whatever it is, you really need to write those down. I always say what doesn't get written down doesn't get done. And as much as we love technology, I'm all about writing things down and getting with blogging. It's the same exact way. You got to write down what it is you're really wanting to achieve. With blogging and social media, it's very difficult to know why you're using it if you haven't clearly identified your own why within your business. So what is blogging doing for you? What are you hoping to achieve? Whether you're a baker or a dentist, you need to know, what the reason is, because otherwise you're just spinning your wheels. You're just writing content, you're out there doing it, and then you're quickly frustrated because you're creating content that maybe nobody is seeing, nobody is sharing. So you've really got to get clear on why you're doing it, get focused on who you're talking to, and then commit to what that schedule is.
Yeah, I agree that you've got to know what your outcome is. What do you want that content to do for you? And I think you hit the nail on the head there. So I just lost my moment here of like what was going on in my mind.
I thought maybe we lost sound again. I was like,
no, like that was a fake freeze. That was just a brain. That's a brain freeze. That's a brain freeze. Okay, so I know you work with a lot of clients from bigger businesses to smaller businesses. When you are advising people around blogging, what's the number one thing that you're advising people around blogging?
Well, if they're just getting started, it's identifying who your target market is. So identify who you're talking to, and I'll ask the question a lot, Denise, who is your target market? And if you tell me everybody, wrong answer. So that's where kind of the niching down comes in, and that's where I really help people figure out, who are you actually talking to? For example, if you were to tell me parents, parents are my target market, and I would say, okay, well, it can't be parents of everybody, because parents of teens as opposed to parents of newborns, very different issues, very different topics. So it's really figuring out who is that person that you're talking to on a daily basis. And then, okay, so those parents, what are their struggles? What do they deal with daily? So parents of newborns, lack of sleep. How do they keep going during the day? How do they juggle everything? How do they insert themselves back into their life and their workspace when they are exhausted all the time? And now they've got this human being that is just totally dependent on them. So new stresses, new concerns, new worries every single day. So you've got to figure out how to be able to speak to that person and then really see them clearly in your head. What does that mom look like? What does that dad look like? What kind of car do they drive? What kind of house do they live in? What are those challenges? And once you start to really do that, it makes it so easy then to put together your content calendar, because now all of a sudden you've done your homework on, oh, well, okay, they're dealing with, I just ran out of diapers and I've got to run to the store, and I've got stuff in the oven, and 15 things seem to be going on at once. So it becomes very, very easy to speak to that persona. Yeah. Once you figure it out. So that's always a top place to start. It's just really figuring out who that person is.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that once you figure that out, and you can just immediately start creating a list of topic ideas, and you won't be at a loss ever again.
Yeah,
at least exactly. In my opinion. Okay, so there was a question that I do recall, so I'm going to ask you this. It was from Melanie, and she wanted to know what blogs you read, who you're listening to, and building relationships with.
That's such a great question. There's so many people that I read on a daily basis. Certainly, Denise, you're one of them, and I listen to your podcast constantly. I'm kind of a podcast addict. I listen to them when I work out, and so I've translated a lot of what I read. I use an app now that reads back to me when I am working out, so I can listen to a lot of them. But gosh, I'm trying to think through my Feedly now. I follow 12 Skip. Pauline Cabrera just puts out consistently excellent content. Peg Fitzpatrick, of course, does just a fantastic job in the how-tos. Martin Shervington with Plus Your Business. If you're looking for anything as far as Google Plus goes, he is definitely your go-to guy. There's just so many good people out there writing on the topic of blogging, of social media, how-tos. It's just doing a little bit of homework as far as Googling and figuring out, who are those people. And then if you get into those blog tribes like we talked about, that's going to really help you too, because you're going to start to figure out, oh, wow, just excellent content that I want to read every single time.
Exactly, exactly. Okay, so I am at like the most important question of all. This is a question I ask all my guests because it gives us a little insight into, beyond the blog in this case. So what has been your most memorable adventure? Whether it's business, life, whatever.
Wow, that is a really great question. And I think that probably my most exciting adventure was, and still is, marrying my husband and then getting to work with him. So many people say that if working with your spouse is just a huge recipe for disaster, and he and I have worked together in different capacities for almost 15 years. And wow, has it been just an enormous life lesson for me. I am really bad at taking instruction or direction. I can give it. I just don't take it very well. And he has taught me patience. He has taught me to slow down. He has taught me to be a better teacher and trainer. So it's been just a fantastic journey for me to be able to walk alongside somebody who is so completely different for me, and to actually listen and be able to learn from that enormous difference in personality. So, it's just, it's funny, as I said, probably every person I've ever talked to that I say, I work with my husband, he does this and this and this, and we do different things, so it works. Mm-hmm. But we support each other in a lot of different ways, and they're always like, oh my goodness, I could never work with my spouse. It would never work out. And I just always find myself saying, wow, am I enormously blessed that I just enjoy my time with him, on both fronts. And don't get me wrong, there are certainly days where we both feel like strangling each other. But that would go with any business partner or any situation where you're working that closely. So for me, it's just been it's been a real treat, because I have changed in so many ways because of allowing that relationship to kind of change and mold and guide me, and so it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, I applaud you for that, because I did work with my former spouse for about 6 years, and that's not why he became the former spouse. It wasn't about the business, but it can work, especially when you're complementary. So thank you for sharing that, because I think that can be really special, and it is an adventure every single day.
It is. Well, I mean, my goodness, what we do is an adventure, let alone, working side by side like that.
Exactly. Okay, so why don't you let us know where people can find you and get to know you more, follow you?
Certainly. So we've talked about my blog, and it's RebekahRadice.com. You can find me right here on Google plus Rebekah Radice, on Twitter at Rebekah Radice, Facebook the same. So just about anywhere on social media, it's just at Rebekah Radice. If you have any questions for me, feel free to email me, Rebekah at Rebekah Radice. I just try to keep it as simple as possible, right, Denise?
Absolutely, I know. Yeah, just especially when we're working in the way that we are, where we are the brand and the personality. For me, I find it's a little bit easier just to go with my name.
Exactly. So. I can find you everywhere.
Exactly. Okay, so Rebekah, thank you so much for your patience with me and the technology today. I really appreciate you being. It's you never know what you're going to get, right? So,
That's right.
but I really appreciate your time and sharing, some of the, background of how you're consistently producing such amazing content on your blog and, educating the rest of us along the way, because I really admire what you're doing. I've become kind of a lazy blogger, and I know that that's probably not a good thing to admit, but it's the truth. But you inspire me.
You are an amazing content producer, so I would never say you're a lazy blogger.
Okay. Well, thank you. Okay, folks, thank you so much for being with us here today. If you want advance notice of who's coming up next on Adventures in Visibility, you can get on the first to know list at adventuresinvisibility.com. Until next time, have an adventurous day. Okay.
Yay!
Stop now.
Yay!
It's still going.
It's still live.
It looks like it's still live. Okay, well, here, this is